Lisa and I actually ended up having a massive falling out, a massive fight. And we didn't speak for quite a few years. Then Lisa got sick. She was diagnosed with cervical cancer. So I picked up the phone and contacted her and said, I want to come and see you.
Yeah. Welcome to the Together podcast. This is your first time. An extra big welcome to you. This podcast is all about pausing to reflect on life and its many wonders. Today we're talking to Jacqui Martin about the way that she helps other people and where that desire comes from. She's started something called Lisa's Lunches, which she told me her last delivery of lunchbox size packs was of 1,400 lunches to people, families that are going through a difficult time, usually a cancer battle. So looking forward to sharing that interview with you. Now this podcast is all about community, so we would encourage you to connect with friends and family around the topics we discuss. And if you'd like to find out more about the community behind this podcast, I'd encourage you to go to our website, haventogether.com, and you can find out about our social media group, our Zoom groups. You can find out about our messenger groups. It's all there. A simple way you could begin that journey into our community would be by subscribing, if you're watching on YouTube, or by leaving us a comment. Would so appreciate hearing from you. Let's get into that interview now with Jacqui. Jacqui, thank you for making time to chat with me today.
No problem, Tom.
So I'd just be interested to hear from, in your own words, who are you, Jacqui?
That was a great question, Tom, because I had to think really hard about that one. So a little bit about my background. I'm born in Queanbeyan, New South Wales, which is right on the ACT border. Moved into the ACT, so into Canberra when I was 6 months old. Did all my schooling in Canberra. Met a RAFI who was at the Defence Force Academy studying aero engineering. Married him in December 1991. Moved up here, posted up here to Amberley.
Bit of a change?
It was on the spectrum change. It was like going back 20 years and moving to a different planet. It was very, very different. So we moved here January 1992 with it was a temporary place to live, so all for adventure and, letting the RAF pay for, us to see the country and the world. Got posted back to Amberley about 3 years later, and then was reposted again another few years later, which is highly unusual. And then we met a guy, my ex-husband met a man in the RAF who was going to be a pastor. So he joined our RAF home group on the RAF base, which then I joined the home group that was outside. So they had a RAF home group, and then they had an external, just a family home group, as we know them, or Connect group. And anyway, we stayed here and planted a church with them.
Wow.
So decided to leave the RAF and stay in Ipswich, which was not on our plan at all. Then a few years later, my marriage split up. So 2002, I became a single mum. And that lasted for a very long time as well.
Yeah. How old were your children?
when we split,
Yeah.
2, 5, 7, and 9. So yes, I have 4 children. By the way, should add that. So so I raised my kids, no family as well. So that was a bit of a tough journey. Then our pastor, who we stayed here for, I was still in that church, was diagnosed with cancer and died. It was a very quick diagnosis, and he died 4 months later. So then, as you can imagine, you know, turned your life upside down, left your home, left your family, decided to stay in a place that you didn't really like, that really wasn't on your plan. Your marriage breaks up, you're a single mum, no support, and the pastor that you stayed here to support died.
Yeah. So a turning point. What happened then?
Heritage City Community Church. So that's when I came over to Catalyst.
Right. Yeah.
Because I had 4 children that didn't have a father in the home, that needed some kind of support. So a strong youth.
Yeah.
So we headed over to Heritage. I then went back to the workforce. Went back to hairdressing, which I do at the moment. So I've been a hairdresser 35 years. That has been my long life dream. When I was 4, I wanted to be a hairdresser, so I achieved that goal and still am doing it.
That's fantastic.
Met David. Loved him from the beginning. He wasn't keen. So I waited about 8 years to marry Dave.
Right, 8 years for him to get his act together.
Yeah.
You think married 35, really?
I wasn't interested in anyone else. I just knew David was a good man, so if it wasn't him, it was no one. So I was quite happy just waiting.
Yeah.
And anyway, turned out well.
Yeah, it did.
And I guess here we are.
Here we are, Jacqui.
12 years. We've been married this year, so in a nutshell, very quick story.
Well, quite a story.
Well, yeah, there's lots of other bits in between, as you can imagine, but...
in all that you've learned about yourself over that time, what makes you come alive, Jacqui? What really makes you feel, yes, I'm in doing what I love?
Oh, people, for sure.
Yeah.
People. People energise me. Saying that, I also need my downtime. I need time away from people. But yeah, I really resonate and love being around people.
Yeah, how does that express itself? What kind of things do you do during the week that show that?
Well, hairdressing is very individual, very personal skill, very, one-on-one. I don't have a salon out there like a shop front. I work from home, so my salon's very it's only one client at a time, so it actually allows you to have that really very personable relationship with people who actually tell you a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. I volunteer at a number of organisations, so I'm also a volunteer in police.
Yeah.
Which is very, very different perspective.
Yeah.
Very different for me. I'm a real rule person, so I do love the fact that the police have a lot of rules, so that suits my personality. So I've learned a lot from being around police and just engaging with the community that way. On Crime Stoppers as well, so it's similar kind of thing. Wrestle Carols community, so yeah, engage with people in a very different way with that. And of course, Lisa's Lunches.
Lisa's Lunches, tell me about that. How did that start?
Well, Lisa Houston was a very good friend of mine. I worked for Lisa, I think it must be about 15 years ago, when I was working in the mall actually, when Riverlink opened. So the mall went from a bustling shopping place to dead as a doornail overnight. So the shop I was working in decided not to move, so they closed.
Right.
And then a mutual friend of Lisa and I said to Lisa, hey, I know someone who could work in your shop. So Lisa hired me, just basically.
Great.
Just like that. So that was at Winston Glade Shopping Centre. Lisa and I became best of friends. We did everything together. That was good and bad.
Yep.
Lisa and I actually ended up having a massive falling out, a massive fight. And we didn't speak for quite a few years. Then Lisa got sick. She was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I'd say probably close to 7 years ago now. I might have my timeline a little bit off. So I picked up the phone and contacted her and said, I want to come and see you.
Yeah.
So I went over, and it's kind of like we'd never not been friends.
Yeah.
So for her, it was a very different perspective because she was looking at life from a very different angle than she was, previously. So that journey went well for her at that stage. She actually was treated and got on with life. She went back to work. They thought everything was fine. And then she was re-diagnosed probably about 12 months later. And this time it was terminal. So through that journey, myself particularly saw the struggles for young families in particular. When you've got children, you've got a partner that has, a terminal illness or is very, very sick.
Yep.
And Mark, her husband, was trying to cope with the house, the kids. He was trying to work. He was trying to be there for his wife, and it's impossible. Excuse me, an impossible journey.
Yep.
So probably 6 months before she died, she caught pneumonia, and I was up at the hospital visiting her, and Mark and I were walking back to the car because he needed to put money into his meter. And Mark's not a person who really, you don't know what's going on really with Mark. He doesn't say much, but this day he said, Jax, we've got no money. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And kind of explained like the expenses that they had, and it got me thinking. I thought, well, yeah, you know what? They've lost an income. Lisa can't work. Clearly she's sick, so you've probably lost $40,000 or $50,000 out of your budget.
Yeah.
Mark's trying to work, and thankfully he had a good boss that kept paying him.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, what can we do? So we actually did a grocery collection at that stage, and the response from the community was actually unbelievable. I filled a room downstairs. So all I did was put a Facebook call out and said, these are the things that they need. Can you help? And people were sending, pulling up with bootloads of groceries or sending online orders. So that actually lasted Mark and Lisa, Mark after Lisa died, probably easily a good 12 months as well. So it sustained.
That's amazing.
Non-perishable stuff. He had to go get other things, but it certainly helped him. So basically from that I thought, hey, we could do something to help families. And so that's really, the idea came from there.
Yeah, well, when I see some need like that, it's way too big for me. I probably wouldn't naturally think to go to the community. What do you think that was in you that sees that need and doesn't just think, I'll try and buy them some groceries, but I'll ask everyone? What do you think that was?
I believe the community generally are good at heart. They want to help. The main problem I see with getting the community to help is they don't know what to do. So when you do a call out and you say they need A, B and C, people are like, oh great, we can do that. And they will. They will do it. So that's just what I've learned over the years. So I did Operation Christmas Child for a long time as well. And some of the ideas with Lisa's Lunches probably, you know, skimmed off a bit of what OCC do, because they put out a list. This is what we do. We fill a box and we put this, this and this in it. So we use a similar thing with Lisa's Lunches. Like, you know, we do lunch packs and we put A, B, C, D in it. So I knew that worked. So, yeah, we just did it in another space.
I see downstairs I walked in, there's a bin with Lisa's Lunches on it. How does that go now? What happens?
Well, what happens is we've got quite a big following on Facebook. We've got over 2,000 people that follow our page now. Very, very well known in the community. I wouldn't say most, but I'd say a lot of people know about Lisa's Lunches. So the bin's down the front for people to just drop off whenever they want. So the address where we are, it just goes up on Facebook, and yeah, if people are coming past, they want to drop off 6 poppers, or if they want to drop off a box of music bars, they can. So
then what happens after that? How do you collect and distribute?
Okay, so then I collect it all in the room downstairs. I have a front room that's now the Lisa's Lunches room. So we then collect it all and pack once a term. So we've just done that. So our packing is always ready for the school term to go back. So it's quiet for a little while now because we've just delivered them all. So in about the second last week of this term, we'll really ramp it up, and we'll pack either the last week of the term or in the school holidays, and then we'll get all the lunches out. And the families get enough Lisa's Lunches to last them 1 term. So for you, Tom, you've got 3 or 4 kids. 4 like me. So you would get 200 Lisa's Lunches delivered to your door because you've got 4 kids and they go to school 5 days a week.
Did your experience as a single mum contribute to any of this and understanding the need as well?
Well, being a single mum, certainly didn't have the money that I have today. And I'm not saying that I'm rich, I'm certainly not scraping like I did. And my kids will say, Mum, we remember when we had no money to buy food. So it really, I think, is a lot of it as well, because school stuff's expensive. I mean, one of the things that people do comment about is the fact that it has got a lot of sugar content in it, but we really can't do much about it because it has to last. It's non-perishable, you know. So we try and tweak it as best we can. So, you know, kids, but it has to be something kids will eat. And the majority of the families that we send this out to, they probably wouldn't eat the healthy option anyway. So yeah, it's just muesli bars and poppers and things like that.
That's inspiring, Jacqui. What drives you?
What drives me? People, I guess. You know,
you have a heart for people.
Yeah, I do. I love people. I love and I don't like to see. If I can see I can do something about someone's need, I'll try and do that. But with keeping in mind that you can't fix everything. You know, that's something, because we deal with a lot of people in Lisa's Lunches that are terminal, so they're not going to survive their journey. So it's actually quite a difficult conversation sometimes to pick up the phone. Because I'll ring all the families and have a conversation with them, and you know, a lot of them are very emotional about what they've just been told, or and they're young. You know, they're young, so the more you get on the phone and the more you meet these people, the more that drives you to the more they tell you, oh,
Yeah.
this is so great, thank you so much, the more you want to do it.
Yeah. Do you ever have to say no?
Depends what it is.
Right.
Yes. Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you decide? Too much for you?
It depends what it is. If it's to do with Lisa's lunches, it's only no if I know that they're not genuine.
Yeah.
So we've had some not genuine people just using us.
Yeah.
No if we've been very busy and our volunteers just need a little bit of a break, and sometimes that's only a few days. For instance, we've just had Easter.
Yeah.
So 5 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, I got a message, oh, so-and-so needs meals. And I just said to that person, well, you know what, we've been really busy. All our volunteers just need to go and enjoy Easter. You know, let's deal with it next week. So it wasn't actually a no, it was like just a wait. Yeah.
What do you think's next for you, Jacqui? Any idea?
No, well, Lisa's Lunches has just become incorporated.
Okay. Wow.
So, and now we're working to be a charitable organisation. I work with the hospital as well.
Yeah.
So the social worker and I have a very good relationship, both the palliative care and the oncology social worker. So I get a lot of referrals from her. So that just happened.
Wow.
It was.
Yeah.
I think, you know, God just went, here you go. Just gifted that to us. The NUM of palliative care at Ipswich Hospital, yeah, I've got her phone number.
Yeah.
The collaborative of palliative care here in Ipswich, yeah, they recognise Lisa's Lunches and the work they do. So I don't know, Tom. I'm doing this podcast today. I've got a meeting with Ripley State High School tomorrow. They're looking at helping us with meals. I'm going down to Inala TAFE next week to speak.
Really? Wow.
So, yeah, I've got a lot on. So, hairdressing clients.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible talking to you, Jacqui.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they can jump on. And we're on Facebook, by the way. Lisa's Lunches.
That's where it all happens.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm sure people will be interested to check it out.
Hope so.
And look forward to seeing where the journey leads from here.
Me too. Got no idea.
Thanks, Jacqui.
No worries. Thanks, Tom.
It was great to interview Jacqui, and maybe the bonus was the cake and the tea she shared. Maybe you're one of Jackie's friends and you're listening to this. It'd be great if you could let her know what you thought, or leave a comment here and we'll be sure to share that with her. Now, a few questions to help you process the story that Jacqui shared and maybe apply something to your own life. First of all, what inspires you about Jackie's story? What experiences have you gone through that have allowed you to better understand and help others going through a similar circumstance? What's an opportunity to help others that you're aware of currently? How could you get others involved in joining you to help you in this cause? And what's your motivation for helping others? And encourage you to discuss those questions with others. It would be great if you could do that and let us know how it goes. But thank you for listening to the podcast. Remember, you can always connect with us on our website, haventogether.com. It's listeners like you that make this worth doing, so we'd love to hear from you. Now, everyone has a different perspective, so if you have a thought, feedback, please let us know. But otherwise, hope you can join us next time, and trust this has been a meaningful time for you. I'm Tom, and this is the Together Podcast.